Coming up tonight on Business Live, Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors objects to government's plans to make bulk energy storage and transportation company sole off-taker of Central Oil Refineries production under the Gold for Oil program. Will this proposal create market challenges and deficiencies in the downstream sector? We shall be analyzing that. Also in this bulletin, Ghana cedi hits 14 cedis to $1 as the depreciation pressures continue unabated. We shall be assessing the extent of the $360 million from the International Monetary Fund, whether it will help support the struggling cedi. We shall be discussing that as well. Plus, more business associations join calls for power outage situation to be resolved. We will hear from the Ghana Chamber of Young Entrepreneurs.
As well.
I say, I don't know where to start, but to be honest with you, these are all the small things that happen and businesses collapse. Today we had the launch of the Young Entrepreneurs Co-working Spaces. If not for fossil fuel and a generator, we wouldn't be able to do the program.
We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Pius Kojo Baka. The Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has objected to government plans to make the bulk energy storage and transportation company BEST the sole off-taker of Central Oil Refinery Limited's production under the Gold for Oil program. It is therefore appealing to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to review the proposal. Here's more.
According to the Chamber, it is convinced that this plan is inconsistent with the deregulation policy that guides the activities of the petroleum downstream sector. It is also informed that the plan has been necessitated by government's aim to control the exchange rate by indirectly ceding Central Oil Refineries cedi liquidity through BEST for the latter to manage US dollar allocations under the Gold for Oil program. It continued that providing the needed US dollar liquidity under the Gold for Oil program can still be achieved without necessarily anchoring the entire output of Central Oil Refinery Limited with BEST, formerly known as Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, BOST. The Chamber ardently opposed this proposal that would create market challenges and deficiencies, which will in the medium to long term inevitably cripple the downstream sector. This policy proposal, it said, not only contradicts government's mantra of fostering private sector involvement in the industry, but also undermines the petroleum deregulation policy efforts, which are working perfectly. Further, by sidelining bulk oil import, distribution and export companies, the government risks stifling competition and hindering the growth of a vibrant private sector within this essential industry. The Chamber concluded that it is committed to working with the government to develop a workable Gold for Oil framework that fosters fair market practices and transparency.
And we want to touch on this development story. We are also following up for you. The Ghana cedi has hit 14 cedis to $1 as the depreciation pressures continue unabated. Now, checks by Joy Business indicate that most forex bureaus are selling the dollar for 14 cedis on average to the American greenback. Here's more in this report.
The local currency has lost about 12.08% to the American greenback. Most analysts had anticipated the local unit to extend its depreciation against the dollar this week. This is despite Fitch Solutions predicting that the cedi will end the year at 12 cedis 25 pesos, arguing it will recoup some of its recent losses in the months ahead. The London-based firm believes the cedi will strengthen as the government makes progress regarding the restructuring of its commercial debt. In recent times, the US dollar has continued to remain stronger as the rising US Treasury yields firmed the American greenback globally. The US inflation quickened to 3.5% year-on-year in March 2024, backed by higher energy and shelter costs. Following the development, the Federal Reserve announced that Interest rates need to stay higher for longer to beat inflation to the 2% medium-term target.
All right, so let's expand on this development further. And joining us to do that is economist Professor Lord Benson. Thanks so much, Professor Benson, and good to see you once again. Now, do you hold the view that getting the IMF second review approval is very critical at this time for the onward disbursement to get some inflows to support the local currency?
Yes. Can you hear me, please?
I can, loud and clear, sir.
Yes, indeed. The IMF release plays a major role. Because if you look at the currency movement, it has been on the tail of the release of the IMF money and the expectations that goes with it. So if we don't get it, then it means the signals on the grounds will be that there will be pressures on our foreign currency, that is the buffer at the Bank of Ghana. And as a result of that, the market will react to it. So we have been managing the exchange rate with expectations from this IMF money. And as a result of that, it's taking a toll on it. Whenever we are going for the program and there is a review and we are not getting, a feedback from the board as expected, then obviously it will tend to have impact on the exchange rate.
And I want to know how important the passing of the review is or would help support the Bank of Ghana's reserves.
Yeah, it's not going to, support it that much. But as we speak now, our, foreign cover for import is about 1.7 months. And I don't think getting 360 million will make that huge impact. But then the expectations, the market react on expectations. And so the expectation that goes with, the IMF money is what is moving the exchange rate, not the realization of itself.
Not to say we want to see a delay, but do you think a further delay could worsen the current situation or even send wrong signals which may affect the FX market? And I don't know what your opinion is when it comes to what must be done.
Yeah, further delay, is definitely going to have impact on the exchange rate because like I said earlier, we'll be managing the exchange rate with expectations of some of these inflows. And it used to be inflows from cocoa syndicated loan, inflows from Eurobond market. And now we've exhausted all of them. Cocoa syndicated loan, we can't rely on it so much. Even government has deferred, its cocoa beans delivery for this year. So the main inflow that we're looking at, which is quite substantial, is the IMF inflow. Though the expectations, further delay can cause a problem. As to what the government can do, I think there's more dollars onshore, that is in Ghana, compared to what we are looking at from the IMF. And they should roll out a policy so that they can attract, these dollars onshore into, Bank of Ghana's, folds. It could be, buying back the dollar at a certain, rate from the market that as expected.
Well, some observers have said that the monetary policy side have really done enough. And so there is also the need for the fiscal measures to be made to support the cedi. Do you agree with them on that?
I think we've been talking about this all this while. Bank of Ghana's, monetary policy program that they've been rolling out, we don't expect it to sit in isolation because we need a fiscal to also respond to the some of the policies, because we can't have government rolling out taxes, increasing taxes, which we know very well that the pass-through effect is increase in prices, while the build-up of prices goes into inflation, and then the Bank of Ghana will come and say, "Oh, inflation is going up, so we're going to increase the policy rate," and we know how the policy rate fits into interest rate structure. So the policies are supposed to go hand in hand, and I'm not expecting, that call to be a call that should come out from a vacuum, because all this while, that is what we've been calling for. The government should ensure that they respond to the policy, rate as expected.
And what do you foresee happening in the coming days, especially as we await the approval of the IMF review?
Yeah, we're hoping that, having an agreement with the, external creditors will make, the board approve, the release that we need. Other than that, there's going to be a problem. Like I said earlier, the expectations, that this release will do something to the economy is so high on the market. And any, deviation from what the market expects will be a response to the exchange rate. So I won't be surprised by the end of the year, we may get the exchange rate getting around, 15 Ghana cedis per the dollar.
That's quite alarming. Thank you so much, Professor Lord Benson, for agreeing to speak to us here on Business Life on the back of the performance of the city. Let's stay a while longer within the economy because more business associations are lamenting the impact of the current park outages. The latest to do so is the Ghana Chamber of Young Entrepreneurs. According to its chief executive, Sheriff Gali, many small and medium businesses face the risk of downsizing or folding up if the situation continues. He spoke exclusively to my colleague Atase Nyako on the sidelines of the launch of the YEC Spaces, a co-working space created by the chamber.
The power outages, how is that affecting you?
I say, I don't know where to start, but to be honest with you, these are all the small things that happen and businesses collapse. Today we had the launch of the Young Entrepreneurs Co-working Spaces. If not for fossil fuel and a generator, we wouldn't be able to do the program because all of a sudden electricity went off. So when there's power outages, imagine a young person who runs a barbering shop, a young person who runs a cold store. How would they operate? I have a young person that called me from Tamale that there was something, I don't know whether it was an issue in their area, but the lights went off for like 3 days over tons of fish got spoiled. And nobody is going to support this person. Nobody is supporting. ECG will never own up and say that, okay, when we caused it and we want to get you back on your feet. So the person have to pay the loans they have taken. Where are they going to get the money to pay? All the fish went bad and he has to throw them away. So power outage, dollar rising against our city, fuel prices, inflation, hikes in product and services. Forget it. We are living in very hard times. And I will not sit here on your television to tell any young person that should be so happy and be jubilating, but we shouldn't lose hope. And we should all come together to support whatever we can do within our corner. I would always appreciate and preach the fact that let us be producing more than we consume.
Sheriff Gali in that interaction with my colleague Isaac Atase Nyako there. Now, auditing and advisory firm KPMG is making a case for corporate bodies to intensify action on the Sustainable Development Goals as Ghana lags behind in meeting the deadline. According to the firm, many countries are far ahead of Ghana in terms of implementing measures to promote the agenda before the 2030 deadline. Speaking to journalists after addressing the Sustainability Conference at the sidelines of the ongoing PROPAC conference in Accra, partner KPMG, Kwabena Bene, called for a more aggressive approach towards the agenda. Here's a report.
Ghana is facing a financing challenge due to what many have described as low interest in the implementation of sustainable development programs. As the deadline of 2030 for members of the United Nations draws closer, more work is expected to be done to ensure that the target is not missed. As part of this year's PROPAC Ghana conference, KPMG assembled industry players at the Sustainability Forum to promote activities of the agenda. Partner in charge of sustainability at KPMG, Kwame Sapombanie, expressed worry that despite government's efforts, the country still have a long way to go in meeting the deadline.
It's deeply worrying in a sense that the UN Sustainable Development Goals is something that we as a country must attain, and we are only about 5.5 years and a few months away. And it calls for an important action. And that's why we at KPMG are putting things like this together to ensure that the awareness is there. And then, thankfully, I think we mentioned that if you look at the national agenda, sustainability has become an inculcated part where it shows our commitment to it. But again, more must be done. Really to bring and attract those financing to support the SDGs.
Do you think we are on track? If, like you mentioned, the deadline, it's nearing. Are we on track as a country?
Not on track, but I believe with most things, as the deadline approaches, there's more action to it.
Head of Corporate and Investor Relations at Cow Bank, Jifa Amegashi, hinted that the bank is developing a strategic environmental sustainability and governance structure capable of serving as a model for the financial sector.
For Cow Bank, we have a very clearly defined ESG strategy, and our ESG strategy is around the Sustainable Development Goals. We have picked 3 in particular, that's gender, also renewable energy and energy efficiency, and also infrastructure and innovation. So our ESG, all of our ESG policies and also our products are geared towards those 3 particular SDG goals. Now, strategy evolves. As we deepen in our achievement of those goals, we may move on to other ones or add other SDG goals to the 3 that we have already. But the focus for the current strategic period is on women, it's on renewable energy, and it's also on industrial innovation.
The theme for the Sustainability Forum is defining the future, thriving with sustainable finance in Ghana.
You're still watching Business Live with me, Pius Kojobaka. More after this break. Hello again. One of the major hurdles women entrepreneurs in Ghana face is access to financing. However, the Deputy Managing Director of Société Générale Ghana believes that the newly established SG Women Club will significantly help close the gap by offering critical guidance and creating opportunities for women-led businesses to thrive and contribute to sustainable development. Well, he spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the SG Women Club here in Accra. Here's a report.
Ghana has the world's highest proportion of women entrepreneurs, with about 96.1% of them active in the labor market. However, many of these women-led businesses face significant challenges in accessing finance. The Deputy Managing Director of Société Générale Ghana, Francois Pos, believes that the new SG Women Club, the bank's latest product, will help address this issue by providing the essential support needed to bridge the funding gap for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Société Générale Ghana is consistently one of the banks who is lending to the real economy, to micro SMEs. We have opened a few years ago our own clinic to take care of small businesses. It's called SG Home of Business. Anyone can walk in and benefit from advice. We want to take micro SMEs into the journey to formalization. We live in an environment, where inflation is high, rates are high, and access to financing is difficult. Traditionally in Ghana, most of the facilities need to be secured with a landed property, a mortgage. And obviously, most micro SMEs do not have any mortgage, to put as a collateral for the bank. So we've come up with a product that is simple.
The head of banking and supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Osei JC, emphasized the importance of adopting sustainable banking practices.
I'd like to encourage SG to leverage their sustainability efforts to attract green funds to support their lending activities. For example, the Green Climate Fund has allocated $1.26 billion for climate action in developing countries, and I would like to encourage SG to get accredited by the GCF to take advantage of the funding opportunities it offers.
Dr. Felix Adoyobo is the Deputy Director and Advisor at the Sustainable Development Goals Advisory Unit in the Office of the President.
We need to bridge that gap where women traditionally have had limited access to financing. So we see this initiative as very timely and very important to get our women folks on board. And the impact would go beyond the financial sector. It will address issues of employment, issues of poverty.
The Société Générale's SG Women Club initiative is supported by the African Guarantee Fund to promote an inclusive, equitable and prosperous economy.
In more business news, Tubino Pharmaceutical Limited, as part of its corporate social responsibility, has donated medicines worth 255,000 cedis to the Lekma Hospital and other hospitals in Kumasi. According to Head of Marketing at Tubino, Dr. Nana Yawapia Amwa, the gesture is aimed at helping patients who are unable to afford medications for their ailments. There is more in this report.
In 2022, Ghana reported 151 total deaths due to malaria cases. To help counter this disease and cure patients, Tubino Pharmaceuticals Limited has donated some medicines to the Lekma Hospital. This also forms part of the World Malaria Day celebration. According to the head of marketing at Tubino, Dr. Nanayaw Apiamwa, the gesture is part of efforts to ensure the well-being of Ghana's human resource.
So for Tubino, it's very important that we actually made Lekma feel the effect of arsenate before it actually even goes out in this case. For Lekma sees about 3,500 patients every week, and that's a lot of patients. And there's quite a percentage out there who are not able to afford the medications when they come here. The question is, what would you do if a patient comes, has malaria, and cannot pay, cannot afford? We already know that for the hospitals, their finances are already stretched. So what do they do? So this is where Tubino comes in, where we've provided medicines that can actually help in treating some of these patients when they come in. They can't afford, they get it for free, and they get well. So this is what means. It means to Lekma a huge deal because of what we have brought in, the medicines that we brought in to treat the disease that they have currently.
Head of administration at the Lekma Hospital, Charles Banafo, expressed the hospital's appreciation for the gesture, adding that this would make a positive impact on patients.
As we all know, today is World Malaria Day, and we have series of activities that we outline to mark the day. And in the course of doing our work, we got the message that Tubino is here to give us some malaria medications. And as we all know, I mentioned earlier that we normally give some medicines to people who cannot even afford their medicines. Yeah, so those charity things we are already doing. So now that we've received these bulk medicines, it's going to add up to our stock to be able to meet out to those who come and they are diagnosed of malaria and they are not able to afford. So it's actually a breakthrough for us as an institution, and all we can say is that we are grateful to Tubino and the entire staff.
Tubino Pharmaceutical Limited also reiterated its commitment to providing quality and affordable medicines to Ghanaians.
And I'd like to take you straight to myjoyonline.com/business for some great stories on that portal. We object to government's plans to make Benson of Ithaca of Central Oil Refinery, and it was our lead story here on Business Live, also on that portal, Government Fiscal Adjustment on Target. That's according to a report. Great stories on the portal. Do visit there and get yourselves updated. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. I leave you with international business. Bye.